What if I told you the Livewell pump on your center console only lasts 3 to 4 years before it fails, and most anglers just accept that, buy whatever's on the shelf, and pay full price to replace it every single time? Meanwhile, the guys who actually run offshore tournaments and keep bait alive in rough water have been quietly buying pumps that cost half the price and beat that number by years. They're not telling you about them because, frankly, they don't want the stock to dry up. Here's what most people miss. The big-name pump that came factory installed on your boat was chosen by a purchasing department, not by an angler. It was never sized against your actual through-hull placement or your seacock location. It was picked because it was cheap in bulk. And when it dies mid-season, the marine shop steers you right back to the same expensive replacement. Meanwhile, there are 5 pumps sitting on the shelf that the guys running heavy-use offshore swear by. Pumps with replaceable cartridge motors, water-cooled housings, and corrosion-resistant builds that go season after season. One of them comes with a warranty that covers the entire industry average lifespan, and then some, and costs less than a bag of live bait at the dock. Number 1 on this list has been quietly outlasting everything else on the water, backed by anglers who've run them hard for years and won't touch anything else. Here are 5 cheap Livewell pumps everyone skips, but they outlast the rest. Ranked from seriously underrated to absolutely bulletproof. Number 5. Johnson Pump Cartridge Aerator Series. The compact workhorse that fits where nothing else will. Johnson Pump has been building marine pumps under SHURflo, and this cartridge aerator series has a smaller profile specifically designed to squeeze into confined spaces that would choke out a full-size unit. The 1,000-gallon-per-hour model runs about $75, and the 500-gallon-per-hour version comes in under $43. Think about that. $43 for a pump that drops right into a Mayfair mount as a direct OEM replacement. 0 modification required. Here's the part most guys skip past. These units feature an internal anti-airlock system that keeps water flowing steady even when your boat is getting tossed, and the motor cartridge swaps out by hand, no tools needed. That combination is why it survives where bigger pumps can't even fit. The Pro Series steps up from there with a bronze bottom inlet and double ball bearings for quiet, long-lasting operation. Johnson doesn't market to anglers the way the flashier brands do, so it sits on the shelf while everyone reaches for the name they recognize. If you've got a tight, Livewell bay on a boat like a Contender or an Invincible, where every inch of hull space is already claimed, this is probably the one that actually fits. Number 4. Seaflo 04 Series. The budget sleeper with the longest warranty in the game. Most guys have never even heard of Seaflo, and that's exactly why this pump lands on the list. The 800 gallons per hour model moves serious water and costs less than dinner at the dock. But here's where it gets interesting. Seaflo backs this pump with a 4-year warranty. 4 years. Remember that number from the start, the industry average lifespan for an aerator pump. 3 to 4 years. Seaflo is telling you they'll cover the entire expected life of the unit, no questions asked. That kind of confidence has to be backed by something. The housing is ABS, moisture-proof and corrosion-resistant, with a fiberglass-reinforced nylon inlet built to take saltwater punishment season after season. The cartridge motor pops out with a one-hand push-button system, and tin-coated 16-gauge wire comes standard, so your connections resist corrosion right out of the box. The brand simply hasn't bought its way onto the marine counter yet. But the guys running these on saltwater boats are getting multiple seasons without a hiccup. If you're rigging a second Livewell or upgrading a bait tank, this one is sitting right there waiting for you to try it. If you're 2 pumps in and already rethinking what's plumbed into your boat, hit that subscribe button. Every week, we post videos that cut through the marine industry noise and put real offshore knowledge in the hands of guys who do their own work. Number 3. Attwood Tsunami Series. The 100-year-old brand nobody gives enough credit to. Attwood has been a marine industry leader for over 100 years. And the Tsunami series is the quiet backbone of more live wells than most people realize. The T800 moves 800 gallons per hour at full voltage, and the MK2 meets or exceeds ISO 8846 Marine, ABYC E-11, and ISO 10133 standards. That's not a small thing. Those are the same certifications that separate a pump you can trust from one that's just been slapped together and shipped. Here's why it actually lasts. Attwood's patented shaft seal prevents leaks caused by misalignment, one of the top reasons cheaper pumps fail early, and the wiring is caulked and tinned to eliminate wicking and resist corrosion. The replaceable cartridge motor design means when it finally does wear, you swap the cartridge for a fraction of the cost, and you've got essentially a brand new pump. Attwood doesn't chase the tournament marketing crowd, so it never gets the shelf placement it's earned. But this pump has been keeping bait alive on offshore boats for longer than most brands have existed. You've probably got one already mounted somewhere on your boat and didn't even know it. If you're starting to see the pattern, if you're realizing that the pumps the marine shop pushes hardest aren't the ones that last the longest, do me a favor and hit that like button. It helps this reach people who are out there wrenching on their own rigs and making smart upgrades. Number 2. Rule Tournament Series. The one the tournament guys actually run when their money's on the line. Rule Tournament Series pumps have been in live wells for over 20 years, and the reason is dead simple. The 800 gallon per hour model pulls only 2.8 amps, runs on a 5 amp fuse, and features a water-cooled housing that keeps the motor temperature down during long runs. But the real reason guys stick with these comes down to what happens when they fail. The spring-loaded cartridge removal system lets you swap the motor with one hand, on the water, no tools, and the cartridge costs less than a full replacement of any competing pump. That's the real math. Most guys never do at the counter. For bigger wells over 80 gallons, there's a 1600 gallon per hour dual-port version, though that one climbs well past the budget range. Forum veterans on offshore boating forums report running the standard series for years under heavy use, getting 18 to 24 months out of each cartridge before swapping. Yellowfin and CV owners running heavy tournament schedules lean on this series for exactly that reason. It's not just an inshore bass boat pump. If you're running a 40-gallon live well offshore, this is probably what should be in it. Number 1. SHURflo Piranha Series. The heavy-duty tank that anglers who know refuse to replace. Here's what most people miss about the SHURflo Piranha. When you ask the guys who've run every brand, the ones who've tried the premium stuff and circled back, they land here. One offshore angler on the Hull Truth, the THT forum where serious rigging conversations actually happen, put it plainly. SHURflos have been way longer lasting than Rule 1600s or anything else. That's field time from someone who depends on live bait to make a living. Here's what backs that up. The Piranha's housing is high-density nylon that shrugs off saltwater corrosion, and the motor is heavy-duty and water-cooled, so it runs cooler and lasts longer under continuous duty. The patented anti-airlock feature clears trapped air in rough water or at anchor, exactly the conditions that kill cheaper pumps. It carries a 2-year warranty from Pentair, and the dual-port fitting lets you tie into a washdown pump without extra plumbing, which matters if you're running a sea chest setup for high-speed pickup. Now here's how to actually size it right, because this is where most installs go wrong. Your live well should turn over completely about every 10 minutes. So a 50-gallon well needs at least 500 gallons per hour just to hit that baseline, and for a 50 to 80-gallon well, you want to be running the 1100. Remember, 40 inches of lift cuts your delivered volume by about 30%, so size up accordingly, or your turnover math falls apart the moment you install it. Guys see the Pentair name and assume it's overpriced industrial equipment. It's not. It's the same price as everything else on this list, and it has been outlasting them all on offshore boats for years. If you're serious about keeping bait alive in blue water, this is probably what should be plumbed into your boat right now. Remember that number from the top. 3 to 4 years, the industry average before a pump gives out. Every single pump on this list either matches that benchmark or blows past it, and most of them cost less than the one you've already got mounted on your boat right now. Smash that like button if this changed how you rig your Livewell. Drop a comment and tell me which one surprised you most, SHURflo, Seaflo, or Attwood. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you never miss a video. The best pump isn't the one the shop recommends. It's the one that's still running when everyone else is buying replacements.